Today on the show, we have Vanessa Indovino. Vanessa worked in the corporate space for 10 years before deciding to take a road less traveled. With that, Vanessa went on a 12-month journey throughout Asia and totally changed her ways and her mindset. She now is a life coach, meditation coach, and certified Reiki practitioner as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing what caused this shift and how she applies it to her life today. Welcome to the Redesign Your Mind YouTube channel and podcast, where we have real conversations around mental health, self-improvement, and how we can find more meaning in our lives. I'm your host, Stefan Moralia. You can watch episodes here, or you can listen to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. The show and any video uploads are loosely inspired by my book, Redesign Your Mind, Tools and Inspiration for Positive Mental Health, which is available on Amazon, Kindle, iTunes, and Audible. Please refer to the description below for more information, including my socials, a disclaimer, and how you can get in contact with me. Thanks for watching and joining me on the journey to redesign your mind. All right, Vanessa, thanks for joining me on the podcast. I hope, you've had a good day and everything's going well. So, just to start, can you introduce the listeners by saying a bit about yourself and what you do in a normal day today?
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so basically at the moment, I work one-on-one with clients using a range of different modalities, mainly Reiki, meditation, and also life coaching. So really working with clients to go deeper within themselves to help them realize what's currently blocking them to realizing their potential or where they want to go, or even just shifting any emotions or any stuck energy or limiting beliefs that are really keeping them stuck or blocked in life. And it's really just about helping them come back to themselves, coming back to their heart, coming back to their body, coming back to their breath, and realizing that they have everything that they need within them. You know, they have all the tools within them, but I think often in life we tend to look outside of ourselves for the answers, and we forget that everything is actually within us. So for me, it's really helping clients to realize that, helping them to come back to themselves and helping them to realize that they are worthy and that they are enough.
Yeah, sure. And I said in the intro that you didn't always do this, and you were in the corporate space for 10 years, you mentioned, and before you decided to change paths. So, and we're going to spend some time on this because I think a lot of people will relate to this, and myself included. So I'd like to know, what were you doing before, and did you feel before this moment happened, did you feel that you were on the right path, say, 5 or 6 years into that path? What were you feeling at those times while you were in that corporate space?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people can resonate with this. So I worked in the corporate space probably for about 12 years. So straight after university, got my degree, went straight into straight into the corporate world, and was just basically climbing the corporate ladder. And I had a feeling as soon as I got into this space that it wasn't for me. Yeah, I persisted and I continued to climb that corporate ladder, thinking that I'd find this elusive sense of happiness at the next promotion, And, I got to a point, probably it was about 2014, and I had been offered a promotion in my job as a marketing manager with, international travel. And I just remember thinking, I'm not excited by this. I'm not excited by this. I went home, I thought about it, and I'm like, I just don't feel the passion towards towards pursuing a career in this field, in this industry, in this job title. And I also was suffering from anxiety at the time, and even getting, I wouldn't say depression, but feelings of depression. And I remember having to go home from work because I was so anxious, and I just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And I decided to decline that promotion. And then I resigned from that job at the same time, to the shock of my boss. And I just basically, left, and I packed up and sold all my belongings. I booked a one-way ticket to Bali. And this is where I really started on this journey of self-discovery. So I spent a lot of time in Ubud, and that's really where I found meditation and yoga and just this new way of living, and really just connecting back to myself. And I would say yoga really saved me. That's what really helped me come back to myself in the beginning and just connect with my body, and really help me to realize that I'm enough, I'm worthy. You know, it all starts from within. And from there, I stopped eating meat and I stopped drinking. So in Melbourne, I was living quite an unhealthy lifestyle, working and then partying on the weekends to really just kind of distract from my life.
Wow,
so it was just,
I was going to say there's so much there. Like, you didn't write the book Eat, Pray, Love, did you? I'm guessing. It sounds...
No, but it's pretty close. Hey, I just need to go to India.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, like so many things that really relate to that story. And you know, I've even read that book, and I thought, you know what, there's something in all of us that loves what that person was able to do, and you've done it. And how hard was it for you to make that decision? Like, not only did you reject the promotion, but you said, right, I'm quitting this job and I'm going for a 12-month discovery journey. How hard was that? And what about with friends and family? Like you said, you were partying in Melbourne and living a, you know, exciting life there. How hard was it to detach from that and you know, the pressures, the anxieties that come from friends and family, even that you're giving up what you've got?
It's a really good question, actually. It was hard because I guess obviously there's risk involved. You don't know whether what you're doing is the right thing to do, but I just knew that I could not continue down the path that I was on. It'd been, 10, 12 years of doing this, and I'm like, something had to change dramatically. So I think the excitement within me overrid the fear, and the fear of taking a risk, and also concerns from family mainly, like, what are you doing? Like, is this, are you okay? Like, are you sure you're making the right decision?
Your Italian background, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Italian background. Yeah.
So that's same as me. So anytime you try and move away from that stable job or stable lifestyle, it raises a lot of alarm bells for the family.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the traditional path. It's not the traditional way. And it's not what you're meant to do at 29. You're not meant to quit. And that's how old I was at the time when I did it. You're not meant to quit your job. You're meant to be thinking about getting married and raising a family at that age. So, I did feel like I was going against the grain a little bit. Friends were really supportive, but I think my family were more concerned. But again, they were supportive. They were just concerned. But like I said, the excitement overrid the fear, and I was like, I just have to do this. But even when I got to Bali, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of like, I was just exploring. I was exploring the unknown. I met people and they said go to Ubud, and so I kind of followed the yellow brick road. It took me to Ubud, and then discovered the yoga barn and discovered embodiment work and energy healing, and just delving into all these different modalities. So by the time that year ended and I came back to Melbourne, I was a completely different person. And And it was worth the investment in myself. Taking that year off was absolutely worth all of that, because I gained so many other experiences that I wouldn't have had I been just sitting in a corporate position. You know, these are like life experiences. And
and that's amazing. And I want to kind of play devil's advocate here. In this new world with a lot more flexibility back even compared to a year ago, do you find that there's a way now that you can help your clients or that people might be able to change in their lives without needing to quit their job or take a fully different new path? Do you find what are some of those ways that people can chase that excitement and a bit of a different path, but without having to commit as much as you did, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And you definitely don't need to quit your corporate job or any job to create that change in your life. I probably took more of the drastic route, but I would probably recommend not quitting your job unless it's making you really unhappy. But you can definitely seek alternatives. There's so many amazing, whether it's getting a coach or seeing a counselor, depending on what it is you want to work on.
Sure.
Or even doing an amazing retreat or a workshop. It might just be 2 weeks or a month or 3 months. It's completely up to you. But doing, really following your heart and seeking out what's going to help you and support you with whatever it is you're wanting to work on. What is the breakthrough that you want to achieve in life? And starting there, asking yourself those questions: what it is that I want and what breakthrough do I want? And then seeking out that help. So yeah, I recommend getting a coach, seeing a counselor, doing a retreat, or there's some incredible workshops that I've attended as well that have really changed the direction of my life. And I think why I'm here today, doing the work that I do.
Yeah, I love that. And, you're a perfect example of someone that says, hey, look, this worked for me, but you can take smaller steps and still have such an improvement. And I look at my own life as well, very similar to you with the corporate path. Things were, for me, it was all about career and money and success. And I just realized that it didn't really bring you happiness. Like it brings you one part of happiness, but there's a whole range of things like family and friends and enjoying what you're doing and health and fitness that contribute to your happiness. And for me, even doing this podcast now, it's an outlet. It's something different, and and that's what I like about what you said with your answer there too. So one thing I do try and do as much as possible is meditate. And as you're a meditation actual professional, I find it so hard sometimes to actually stay focused. And, sometimes you think, oh, do I do a meditation without, any guides, or is a guided one better for me? Should I do 10 minutes? Should I do 2 10-minute sessions in the morning and night? What are some of the easiest little introductions into meditation someone can do, especially someone that might be anxious or depressed and they've thought about meditation but they haven't got into it? What are some of your tips there?
Yeah, amazing. I would recommend starting off with a guided meditation. I think if you're new to meditation, it can be quite challenging for you to just sit there without being guided. Generally, our thoughts can kind of overtake and we might get distracted. So I would recommend a guided meditation. There's so many amazing apps online like Insight Timer, or just, guided meditations on YouTube and Spotify. If you are interested in pursuing it more, I'd recommend doing a short course in meditation, because you can actually learn the different skills and techniques that you can then integrate into your meditation practice. So I find this really useful. And in terms of like the length of meditation and when to meditate, I generally meditate in the morning just to start my day off on the right foot. I have a morning routine, and sometimes I don't have time for all of those things, but I generally try to incorporate meditation into that practice. And then, you know, if you have time in the evenings, great, before bed, you can just lie down and do a sleep meditation, and that's really going to help you get a really beautiful restorative sleep. And, you know, I think there's some misconceptions with meditation. A lot of people think that you need to be sitting down, cross-legged, lotus position for 20 to 30 minutes to be effectively meditating. But actually meditation can be incorporated in your everyday life. So like even just taking 6 deep breaths, you know, as you're going for a walk, or when you're in the elevator at your office, or it might just be really observing the nature around you, or the sky, or whatever it is. It might be savoring the food that you're eating, which is, it's really about bringing mindfulness into your day. Like while you're washing the dishes, really bring awareness to, you know, the feeling of washing the dishes, the sounds, and when you're having a shower, same situation. So you can bring mindfulness and meditation into your daily life. It doesn't have to be a chore where you have to sit there, you know, 20 minutes to an hour in an uncomfortable position. So I think that may sometimes put people off, but it's more about a lifestyle. It's like, how do you incorporate it into your daily life?
And even myself, like the mindfulness point you made there, that's something that sometimes a lack of mindfulness is what really hurts. And I look at my own life, and you know, I'd just be in the zone, and before I know it, I've been staring at a computer screen for 3 hours without taking a breath, kind of thing. And mindfulness is excellent at helping with just saying, okay, well, you know, just checking yourself and saying, oh, I'm a bit tense here, loosen up, take a few deep breaths, and maybe, you know, feel your hands on the desk or on your lap or something like that. And that's another great way. And like you said, it doesn't need to be this special thing that you're doing. Just building it into your day is something that we can all do. And I'm still, you know, all meditation and mindfulness and teachers we're always learning. But for me, I've been trying for 4 or 5 years, and I'm still working on it so much. And there's no right or wrong. You're just trying to improve yourself, I guess, with that. So
exactly, there's no right or wrong. And I think even like sitting down and making time for that practice is enough. And even if your thoughts do kind of get a bit carried away, just bringing yourself back to the breath. I think a lot of people think that if you're thinking, then you're not meditating, but actually thinking is part of the meditation. The mind's job is to think. So we can't stop that. It's just about welcoming and embracing our thoughts in a really healthy way, and then bringing it back to the breath, or any tools that are really going to help you bring you back into that present moment.
Yeah, sure. And so you said before that there was feelings of anxiety and a little bit of depression as well when you were in that old path. Tell the listeners a little bit about how you deal with those challenges today. Like, you know, I understand everyone, we still get anxious, we still get depressed somewhat, but what are the differences now compared to then that really help you get by? And you know, even for your clients, what do you tell them to do differently with regards to anxiety and depression when those thoughts come up?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, what I found was with anxiety, it was actually signaling to me often that I was on the wrong path, and I was doing something that wasn't aligned with my truth. That's usually when anxiety came up for me. I was doing something that I didn't enjoy, or I was in a situation that didn't make me happy. And so it was actually almost like a superpower. And I think someone's written a book about it. So I can't remember the author, but it was actually guiding me. It was like a guiding post telling me, you're not aligned here. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
But when you're in the moment, obviously there's so many tools that you can use to bring you back. And for me, the main thing was really self-care, like, you know, just stopping what I'm doing, getting out into nature, doing things that really relax me and bring me back to myself. So going to the beach, getting out into nature, might be a massage or having a conversation with a friend or exercising. So really releasing some of that energy. Journaling as well really helps me just to get everything out onto paper.
Yeah. And so with all those tips you mentioned there, sometimes anxiety is somewhat of a, you mentioned it best before, like you were on the wrong path.
It's something that we're telling ourselves. So I generally work one-on-one with clients to really understand where that's coming from and where that's starting, and really shifting that belief system, and helping them to release any trauma or anxiety from the past that might be creating their current reality. Because a lot of the time we think that the past creates our future, but really it doesn't. We actually have the power to change and create our future from this moment.
Yeah. And sorry, I think you cut out a little bit during that, but I got most of it. And that's something that we're also scared of, aren't we? It's kind of like that, you know, once bitten, twice shy, and something happened in the past and it makes us scared to do something else in the future. But I just want to go back to how you said being anxious actually makes you, you know, it sets off a positive alarm saying, hey, am I actually on the right track here? Am I doing something that resonates with who I am as a person? And for me, sometimes anxiety is, you know, it's just nerves and things like that. But totally agree with that, that it was sending you a message that you were on the wrong path. And I think of my own story when I went out and started my own business, and pretty much for 2 years, I was constantly anxious, and, you know, I put it down to all these other things. And, you know, as an ambitious person as well, and a lot of, you know, who's to say who's ambitious and not, but I consider myself pretty ambitious, and I felt like a failure because I was anxious that this wasn't right for me. And I think we need to change that mindset, that just because something isn't right for you and you choose a different path, that doesn't mean you've failed, or, you know, that you couldn't cope. Like you said there, you've changed the definition of anxiety, saying, hey, this tells me that might not be doing the right thing here. And I guess what can you say to listeners? Like, do you agree with that? And you know, what can people take out of that for themselves, and what you see with your clients?
Yeah, look, I think that sometimes, like you said, it might just be nerves, and that's completely normal. Like a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety or nerves. I think that's normal when we're working towards something new. We're stepping outside our comfort zone. We're wanting to achieve something. I think a little bit of nerves and anxiety is completely normal, but I think it's when it gets to a point where it's debilitating and it's almost stopping you from doing certain things, that you need to really look at why that's happening, and just really go inwards and say, okay, well, why am I anxious? Is it because I'm not enjoying what I'm doing? Or maybe this isn't the path that I'm meant to be on? Because yeah, oftentimes I think if you're in flow and you're loving the work that you're doing and you're excited, and you enjoy who you're spending your time with, where you're living, if all the elements in your life are kind of lining up, then an extreme level anxiety shouldn't necessarily be there. So maybe really asking yourself, why is that the case? Is something in my life not aligned, and not aligned with where I want to go? And then make changes accordingly. And I'm not saying, you know, quit your job or do anything drastic, but really go inwards, and potentially working with a coach or a counselor or a specialist in this field to really delve and look inwards to why these emotions are coming up.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And yeah, you nailed it. Like, sometimes it's just nerves. And the coach thing is something that for me, like I had a psychologist when I was going through my biggest challenges, and like you said, with a coach or counselor or anything like that, I think they're just really good. As someone, like I don't do that now. I'm not a coach, and you are. I just find that what I really liked about them was it's someone to talk to that has been there and seen it with their clients or themselves, and there's no judgment or anything like that. Whereas with a friend, you might just feel that, I don't know, it just doesn't have that same neutral position. So, yeah, I really encourage people, and I talk about in my book that psychologists and coaches and counselors, they're just personal trainers for your mind, and you're just saying, right, I want to work on this. Let's work through it together, and it's not weak. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's why I love what you're doing. You're helping change that stigma as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't recommend highly enough to see a coach or a counselor. And like you said, it's an objective point of view. I think with your friends, they might tell you what you want to hear, but a counselor or a coach is really going to give you that objective point of view. And I think you, by seeking help, it's not weak at all. Like you said, it's actually very strong. You're honoring yourself. You want to grow, you want to expand, you want to work on yourself, you want to step up a level. And by going to see a specialist, you can actually do that. You can get that mirror reflected back to you and really go deeper and create change in your life.
Yeah, totally. I want to change gears here now, and I want to talk about Reiki. And I've had it done once before, and with all due respect, with whatever I say, I'm trying to learn and help listeners as well. So I want you to tell listeners a bit about Reiki and what you've seen the benefits in yourself and clients. But just to intro myself, I went once and I felt like it did something, and I noticed something, but I wasn't sure, like, was it just placebo? Was it me, actually taking an hour to relax, that just by sitting there and doing that really helped me? Or was it something there? And I want to preface this as well and say that, scientifically, there's not much evidence saying that it does something. But I also agree that there's so many things that science can't prove, and even like things like acupuncture and love and things like that. So I would love you to spend some time talking about Reiki and giving some good points against any doubters out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what? I actually had the same thought before I delved into Reiki. I was a little bit skeptical, and this was a few years ago. And then I did my Reiki 1, and I had the most phenomenal experience just in that training, and just feeling this sense of oneness and bliss and completely connected, and just so much energy. Like I just released so much. And from there, I then did my Reiki 2 and my Reiki 3A. And for me, if I need to, just to explain it in a nutshell, everything in the universe is made up of energy. This is a fact, right?
Yeah.
So we're made up of energy. Animals, plants, even solid objects like tables and chairs have their own energy field. They're made up of atoms, which are made up of energy. So everything in the universe is energy. So with Reiki, all that we're actually doing is channeling this life force energy, they call it chi, into the different chakras. And I won't go into how that happens on this call, because it's quite, it's probably going to be a long call then, but basically it's just channeling life force energy into the different chakras using tools and techniques that we've learned through different symbols. But this intention and this directed focus of this energy into the chakras is actually what helps to clear any blocks, release any emotions, move energy, potentially help you feel a sense of peace, relaxation. And it's not that the practitioner is never the healer, that it's really the client has to be open to receiving this. If you can't go into a Reiki session and you're completely shut down, blocked, you're like, this is not going to work, you're probably not going to receive the benefits. So it works both ways. The client really needs to be open to receiving, and the client then becomes their own healer by actually receiving and being open to the energy and the movement of the energy. And it works similar to, if you think about, the Wi-Fi or the electricity running through a home, you don't actually see that, right? But it's happening, it's happening. The same is with Reiki. You can't actually physically see it, but it's still happening, it's still working. And that's the same with, different frequency devices, similar thing. They work the same way, working with microcurrent frequencies to help repair the cells.
Yeah, that's an awesome analogy. So, that gives someone, because obviously a lot of people are very like, oh, I want to see the evidence, but that's a great point. Like, you literally, have your phone or your internet hooked up to your laptop and there's no wires or anything like that, yet things are happening. So I definitely encourage anyone to give it a go. And the one thing I'll add to that as well in support of Reiki, one thing you mentioned, it ties in with getting hypnotized as well. And when you go to a comedy show or something like that and they hypnotize someone from the crowd, or people even do it now for mental health and things like stopping smoking and bad habits and things like that. Again, there's no real touch there. It's literally just to do with the mind. And if you don't go there with an open mind, you can't be hypnotized. And it's no different with Reiki. You need to go there with your open mind and allow yourself to fall into the process. So, yeah, all right. Well, moving on then as well, you talk about on your website, I think on your Instagram, the Centered Warrior 6-week journey. And I guess it's not a sponsored plug for your business or anything like that, but I guess it's a free kick at, I was interested in it. So tell me, what is that? And how's it helping people?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Centered Warrior is a program that I created when I was going through a particularly challenging time in my life. And it's really a culmination of all the modalities that I've learned over, the 10 years that I've really been working in this space. And it's for me, it's what I would have needed, 5 to 8 years ago when I was working in that corporate space, when I was feeling stressed, anxious, lost, when I had no direction, no purpose, no motivation or inspiration. I needed guidance. So for me, it includes everything that I've learned in a really structured flow to really help the client journey through the program. And it's called it's a Centered Warrior, but it's a journey back home to self. So it's a journey back home to your truth and back home to your heart. And I call it the Centered Warrior because it's, the warrior is someone that has experienced challenges in their life, has been knocked down many times. They might have lost purpose and direction, but they're still motivated and they still believe that there is a better way, that they can create the life of their dreams. And they are motivated and inspired to seek that out and come back to their center and continue to go forward. And so basically what I found with a lot of programs when I was delving into this work, I was wanting to achieve certain goals or create a vision for myself. But then I'd come up against the same subconscious patterns or limiting beliefs, and I'd kind of sabotage or stop myself from actually achieving those goals. So for me, what I found was really important, and that's what the work that I have done on myself and that I'm now sharing with others, is by also visiting your limiting beliefs, visiting any stories or any conditioning or past traumas from your younger years, perhaps, that have really that are blocking you and creating these subconscious patterns in your life to stop you from achieving success. So it's really about visiting the past, really clearing that, working on that, healing that, not getting stuck there, but just acknowledging that that's there, and really connecting with your inner child and making sure your inner child feels safe, because a lot of times we're just, our inner child is so scared in certain moments that might be triggered from childhood, and it's just a matter of really, being there for our inner child and making them feel safe, and rewiring that story that you had from the past and creating a new story. So for me, it's about acknowledging the past, and once we've done a bit of work on that, it's then about creating a vision for your future. And I work with an intuitive and creative process to really connect in with your end result, your vision, and then take the obvious next step towards that vision. So you don't need to see the whole staircase, you just need to know the obvious next step. And this intuitive creative process is so powerful, and I learned this from a mentor. So it's all basically about you do a meditation to tune into your higher self, connect with your innocent, connect with your child, tune into your higher self, and from that place you can then imagine your vision, your end result, and where you want to be. So the obvious next step is actually coming from your highest self and your highest vision. So I think a lot of the times with goal setting, it comes from the mind. We create goals, but they might not necessarily be totally aligned with where we want to go. So this is really about tapping into your higher self, your highest vision, and from there you can create end results, choices, or goals that are actually a lot more specific to where you want to go in life. So then I hold the client accountable to really achieve that. So there's the past, and then also creating the vision for your future and where you want to go as well. So it's all encompassing.
Yeah, wow. And yeah, so much there. Like that reminds me of a book, Mastering Your Hidden Self, The Ways of the Hana, I think it is. And yeah, that they definitely talk about that. And I did that meditation where you go and you find your hidden self. And there's so much you can do with that. And for anyone listening, definitely get in touch with Vanessa, or read some of those books as well, because you're right. Like there's so many goals that we think are what we want, but they're really just crap that we think we want. And I guess it's one of the challenges I still deal with a lot myself, because there's certain goals I've got that I really have to ask myself, is this truly what I want, or is this what I think I want? And there's no shame, I say to everyone, and I say to myself, there's no shame in sitting there and questioning yourself and making sure that it's what you want to do. And at the same time, there's nothing wrong with getting it wrong either. I say that sometimes you have to go down the wrong path to realize what the right path is. So yeah, I think people can really relate to what you said there with that journey. So all right, well, look, Vanessa, thanks so much for coming on. I guess just to end, because we've probably got a minute or so, what would you talk about your inner child? What would you say to anyone that's listening that might be going through some of those challenges that you really went through a while back? What would you say to make them feel comfortable and help them with their journey that you wish someone, summarized to you in a minute or two, to help them?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I would say, first of all, really feel whatever it is that you're feeling. I think a lot of the times, emotions might come up and we often judge ourselves for feeling those things. So I would really encourage you to just sit with yourself, be with yourself, feel your emotions. There's no, wrong emotions. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, scream. Really just be with the experience of what you're feeling in that moment and release it in whatever way that might be for you. I would also say, if there is something that's calling you, maybe it's a passion or a purpose, or you're inspired by something, really delve into it. Like, just go there. You're never too young or too old to start something new. Or if you do want to quit your job and go traveling, or you want to start a new hobby, just experiment, go for it. Like, you can't do no wrong by actually giving that a go and exploring that.
Yeah.
And then also, I would say, talk to experts, talk to people that are doing what you want to do, learn from the best. Like, that's how I started. I sought out help. I sought out different courses. I learned from different teachers and mentors, and I invested the money to really work on myself. And I think that's key. Like, making yourself a priority and investing in yourself is the best investment that you'll ever make. And it might be a few grand, it might be a couple of hundred, whatever it is, but you will grow and learn so much. You'll be a completely different person from that experience, and by learning from different mentors and growing and evolving. And then from that, you'll probably, for me personally, after investing in myself and doing the work, I had so much more clarity on who I was, how I wanted to show up in the world, what my purpose is, what really drives me. So I think it's a journey, but start with yourself, really be with yourself, tune into yourself, connect with yourself. And if you can, avoid distractions. So I think a lot of the times we distract ourselves with television, alcohol, food. It's just numbing ourselves out to the experience of what we're feeling in that moment. So really connect with yourself first, come back to yourself first, and really tune into what you need in that moment.
Yeah, sure. And very wise words there from someone who's lived it. And I totally agree. And just to add on that as well, like my own experience, just think, like, going through these challenges, like how much time I took out of my business, and money I spent unwinding some of the silly things I did, that cost money as well. So don't it sounds like I'm plugging coaches and that here, but don't be scared to spend money on yourself on these things. And I'd say as well, like, don't maybe dip your toe in, like whether it's go for a massage or go for one coaching session or go to one class, and just see what works for you, and build the trust, and go from there. But yeah, we spend so much on our houses, our cars, our clothes, our physical health and food. Yeah, I think from time to time, and I probably got to spend a bit more money myself at the moment. I think I probably owe myself a few nice massages and acupuncture sessions, and yeah, maybe even go see a psychologist, or a counselor or a coach. Just check in. There's nothing wrong with all of that. So
absolutely. And like you said, it could be free resources online as well. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you don't have a lot to invest, you could start with free resources and just see what you like and then go from there.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, Vanessa. And yeah, for everyone listening and or watching, I will put Vanessa's details in the bio. Feel free to get in touch with Vanessa and follow her on Instagram as well. And yeah, but thanks so much for coming on, Vanessa, and all the best for the future.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Stefan.
That was a great chat with Vanessa. And look, the key takeout for me is that it's never too early or too late to change your path. And if you feel that what you're doing is not what you want to be doing, or if there's something better out there for you, then go ahead and do it. Life's way too short to be sitting on the wrong path. And I myself am going to constantly review the path that I'm on, and yeah, use some of those tools that Vanessa talked about, and hopefully yeah, we all move forward and live the lives we want to live. So thanks again for listening, and if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching.